Okay, so this is conference where you get to ask some questions and also potentially just listen, like I was telling Amari. And so before I get kind of started, does anyone have any questions that they'd like me to answer? Anything regarding your practice or maybe navigating something difficult or injuries or any of that kind of stuff? Anybody have anything like that? Okay. So it's just me talking. Sweet. What am I going to say? Who knows? Who knows? So, we're in an interesting time. We are in our country, also in our yoga community. And there's just a lot of things going on, a lot of change that is happening rapidly in front of our face. And it can be pretty intense at times. Um, and I was talking to my sponsor just the other day, and I talk to him pretty regularly because it helps me. It's like basically like having a therapy session to a certain degree. And we were talking about like virtue. We're talking about the four absolutes and virtues, and it started this conversation that I thought was pretty, I don't know, interesting and relevant and important just for the things that um, we are all going through. And I think that as I process this, I obviously looked at myself and I said, like, okay, like this is what does virtue mean to me, and what do all of these things that I'm aspiring to be mean? And it made me reflect. So I wrote a book, 2016, and I went all over the world and I've talked about my book and basically shared some of the most gruesome things that I've ever done in my life. Um, Things that I'm not proud of. Like there's there's not much in there besides the back of the book when I started going to Mysore and it's kind of experiencing this the shift that happens with the practice. And I recalled, and as I was talking to my sponsor, like what I realized is that there was a lot of times where um, I was really deep into the disease of alcoholism and drug addiction. And I recalled like one of the stories, and again, I'm not proud of this. I'm just sharing it. Recalled one of the stories of like, I was like sort of down and out. I only had like $400, and I couldn't spend the $400 on drugs, and so I started selling all my stuff. Um, and this is in the book. Um, and I'm not ashamed of it today. I mean, I think many people in the yoga community would be like, "Oh, maybe you shouldn't share this stuff." Well, it's like I wrote a book and I go around and talk about addiction. Like I'm not really scared to talk about this stuff, because I know my darkness. I do. And I think really what's required of our yoga practice is that we know our darkness, because you can't sit in virtue, think that you're up on a high pedestal, think that you're perfect without looking at your darkness. You can't. And I was like down and out, and I was in the process of a relapse. And the relapse was I was basically went from shooting heroin, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna snort it, which is absurd. Um, but I mean that was my logic, and there was this guy. His name was Face, and he was a scary dude. Like he was one that you don't play with, kind of thing. And he pulled up and I was about to buy drugs, and I had a gun on me, and I was going to trade the gun for drugs because that's where I was 20 years ago, you know? And I remember having the thought, well, I could rob him. I could also kill him, or I could just give him I could just give him the gun for the drugs. And I sat there for a moment contemplating which of the three choices that I was going to take. All those courses basically could have altered my entire life where I ended up. And he pulled up, and they don't like to wait, but I spent like 2 minutes sitting there contemplating which one I should do. And I chose to trade it. That's what I chose to do. And for the sake of myself, that was the best one. It really was. If I would have robbed him or hurt him or any of this kind of stuff, like I probably wouldn't be sitting in front of you today, you know? And honestly, I'm lucky that I'm sitting in front of you today because, I mean, even if there's people overdose, people die. And I remember like getting in the car and he wanted the gun immediately. I gave it to him and he gave me the drugs and it was over. And I walked away. And I sat in the car before I started using the drugs. And I said to myself, what have I become? Where all of those things are an option. And I look around at the yoga world and honestly, I don't know if I will ever fit in. Like, I don't think that it's ever a possibility that I'm going to be, I'm not the most spiritually adept person. I'm not an angel. Like I'm not this, you know? And we all have our flaws. Like we all have our things. Like maybe you haven't, um, whether it's suicide or homicide or robbery or any of these kind of things, like maybe you haven't had these thoughts, but we all have thoughts that, we sit in sort of like this, um, I don't know, on this scale between like, oh, am I good or am I bad? Like, am I making good choices or am I making bad choices? I made a million bad choices, really. I mean, so many that I don't know if I'll ever repay the karma of the harm that I've done. And I'm having this conversation with my sponsor and processing all of this stuff. And he said something that is pretty profound, or at least I found it profound. Maybe you will too. He's like, how would you know virtue if you didn't know your darkness? And I was like, well, I definitely know my darkness, you know? And there's so much misunderstanding about addiction and I mean, my story and all this stuff. But, I wasn't looking to be a yoga teacher. I wasn't even looking to be a yoga practitioner. I actually have no idea besides like listening to the things that have come into my life. I just listened. That's all I did. Like I just was present with um, situations and people. And I just sort of ended up here making the next right decision, sometimes making the wrong decisions, some decisions that I'm still sorry for till today. You know, but we talk about virtue and it gets thrown around a lot in the yoga community, and it's like, the fact is, I mean, none of us might fit into what they're this ideal of what we're trying to put in. And, I made a decision early on when I started the training foundation, when I started teaching at treatment centers, to really kind of take this idea and lean into it, like not lean out of it. I don't teach to the perfect person. I don't care what you wear. I could give a flying shit about that. I don't care if you're sponsored or Instagram famous. I don't care if you have money or if you're poor. And I don't care if you're an addict. I don't care if you've contemplated suicide or homicide. I only care that you show up. and that you feel part of this community. That's all I care about. I don't care what you've done in your life. It's irrelevant. It's all based off of today's actions, not yesterday's, you know? And I think it's really easy in the yoga community to sit there and be like, we're supposed to be angels or something like this. And the yoga community is a reflection of society. It is. And society is pretty broken today, unfortunately. Yeah, so I'm contemplating all of this stuff and I'm just sitting here and I'm saying like, well, who do I teach to? And I teach to the people that just want to be better. Like, I'm no yoga god. I don't want to be a yoga god. I don't want to be famous. I just want to teach you. And it's based off of one thing. I just want to be of service today. And like we have people here in town this weekend. We're practicing tomorrow, by the way, for all the Savannah people. And they have an opportunity to be of service too, whether it's with the Trini Foundation or in their local communities or whatever it is. We got people all over the world that want to teach and carry this message that you don't have to be perfect. You can fit in somewhere and we do better in community. Like that's what's important. So like all of this stuff that is happening around the world, governments and economy and all these things that are going on, the most important journey that we can take is to make a commitment to our higher selves. That's what it is. And there's no one that can do that for you. Like there's not one person that can make you show up here. Motivation fails, inspiration fails. The only thing that matters is that it matters to you and you're going to show up for it. And all of the noise, all of the things that happen, the only thing that matters is that we're working on being better people. Me too. Like that's the only thing that matters. And I don't know any other thing that I've ever done that I don't regret the practice that I just did, or the thing that I just did. I always get done and I'm in gratitude. Always, regardless of how difficult the Navasana was today, regardless of how many back bends we did, regardless of the stress that's happening in life, I always feel better by being here. And it is easy to forget that I was that person that was sitting in the car contemplating all of those things. So where I'm at today, like I got high quality problems today. I do. I have high quality problems. But it's so easy to forget where I came from. Really. I got a disease that wants me to forget that I have a disease. And I talk about addiction a lot and all of this stuff, and not everyone's an addict, but all of us have dealt with trauma, dealt with brokenness, depression, anxiety, all of us. Like there's no one among you, online or in person, has gone through life unscathed. It hits the hardest. It just kicks you when you're down, you know? The practice makes it better, though. It makes it so that you can look life in the eyes. You can say sorry where you need to say sorry, or make amends where you need to make amends. And this place is for you guys. It just gives me an opportunity to be of service today, because I think I need to repay. And I'm still repaying. And I'll continue to repay. I've got the opportunity to go travel around to places all over the world, and I'm extremely grateful for it, because not everyone wants to hear this. And really, some of the communities I go to, they're not really part of my community, so to speak, you know? And I go around and I'm not the average yoga teacher. I'm not. I mean, they don't sometimes they don't like me just because of what I represent. And I remember like when I first got into yoga, like the desk people, like when you walked into the studio that I practiced at, they were called get desk goddesses. And I was like, I'm in the wrong place. I'm in the wrong place. Never in my life, if we are going to try and get our own shala. We're working on it and trying to do some things so we won't be here forever. But never in my life will the people that sit up front that greet every people be called desk goddesses. It will not happen. Like over my dead body, you know, because there's this idea that you have to be this kind of perfect person. And really, I would throw the idea out to you that really needs to be squashed. But the idea is that yoga is really a hospital for the sick. It is. This is therapy, you know, and you could choose to accept that or not, or maybe it's just my idea of it or any of these kind of things. But yoga brings us here so that we can open our hearts, our minds, so we can feel better inside, so that we can look life in the eyes. And no one's asking you to be perfect, folks. We're just asking you to show up because we know it works. We feel that it works. We know that we're better. I mean, and it's what's crazy is that if you look like day to day, it doesn't seem like there's much change happening. Like you're grateful for your practice, you lay down, you're like, oh yeah, this is amazing. I feel good, or I can't believe I just did that pose, or any of these kind of things. But if you look over at a year or 2 years, 15 years, what you realize is that you're in a completely different place based off of today's actions. And the only thing that matters is that you continue to sign up for it. That's the only thing that matters. And that alone is a journey and one of the most difficult things that you can do. Because the only way that you can be virtuous is by coming in here and doing some really deep work. I mean, there's other ways to do it too, but this is one of the ways that you can use it. Just like in sobriety, this is just one of the tools that is required in order for you to kind of pick up the pieces. That's our job. There's nothing special about it. Honestly, if you're trying to explain it, I mean, have you guys tried to explain it and on the streets? Like, oh yeah, we do this yoga class. This guy gives us adjustments. Like we do our own practice, but he helps us. But we're in a group setting, but it feels like a private and sort of like self practice, but it's not because like you try and talk about it, people can't understand. It's like going to India. It really is. It's like going to India. People are like, how did it go in India? And it's like, it went good. I, it's fun, and it's not really fun, and brings up a lot of things, and there's chaos there, and it feels a lot different than here. You can't explain the experience, you know. And I think it's really fascinating to try and put words to it. But I mean, I don't know how I went from sitting in the car to all of a sudden sitting in front of you today. It was just based off of right action, even though that I made a ton of mistakes, you know? Yeah. I think one of the journeys is just to become authentically ourselves, like whatever we're supposed to be. And really, that's what the yoga practice has done for me. Is just like, I don't care what people think of me. I don't care if I'm a black sheep. I don't care if like people don't talk to me. I don't care. My job is to be of service to you guys. That's what it is. Period. Full stop. And if you don't feel supported on the journey, like here's something that you don't hear every yoga teacher say. You can go somewhere else and find another teacher. You're not going to offend me. I'm not for everyone. But if you want to be better, you want to be held accountable, you want to be able to find discipline, you want to be somewhere different, I know how to do that. Like that's what I do. Okay. I'm not the prettiest. Actually, I suck at yoga. I really do. I'm not good. If you compared my lines to other people's lines or my videos to other people's videos, there are much more advanced practitioners of asana. That's not my thing. I'm a teacher. And you have the ability to say like this community fits me, or you have the ability to say like it doesn't, or this teacher doesn't fit me. Like that's your job. Like I can't do it for you, you know? I always thought it was really fascinating because like one of my first teachers named Matthew Darling. He's stellar teacher, best teacher I ever had, really. And one of the last times that I was kind of like apprenticing with him. I was learning a lot from him. I would go up to Michigan and all this kind of stuff. And he looked me dead in the eyes and he said, like, my teaching's done with you. Like I have nothing else to teach you. And I was like, what do you mean? Like you're my teacher. Like, we continue to learn from our teachers. And it's like, Taylor, not one person has ever come from Ohio to learn. He said, I think you're the teacher. And if you're going to teach us with integrity, you need to go to Mysore, India. That's where the teacher is. That's where you got to go drink from the well. That's what he said to me. And he's always been supportive, all that kind of stuff. He cut it off. He said, like, I'm not your teacher anymore. Go somewhere else. And I'm not saying that to you guys. Like, I mean, like it's that you sign up for it. You say to yourself, like, this is what I want to be different. I like the people in the community. I'm okay to be me in here. It's okay that I can't fold forward or that I've been here for 20 years and I still struggle with back bends. Like we don't care. My community does not care about that stuff. We don't give a shit about whether or not you can do a back bend. Like we don't care. Like that is not important to me. It's not important to anyone in here. We don't care whether or not you can properly forward fold or if you do fourth series. It only matters that you are trying to be better than yesterday. That's the only thing that matters. If you want that, this is where we go. If you want something else, it's okay too. You know, the acceptance and the gratitude of like acceptance is like life on life's terms, you know? And the more that we are outside of acceptance, like what occurs is that we have suffering. And I don't want to suffer, like I don't need to crowdsource my self-esteem. I don't need to look at my journey and compare it to other people or your journey with mine or any of this kind of stuff. Just want to be me. Just want to show up on a consistent basis and be the best person I can possibly be. Even though that I have so much to work on myself and I've worked on myself extensively for 20 years or 19. So, so this idea of like this virtue and all of these things, like people talk about virtue and it's like, how can you know virtue if you really don't know how deep and dark it goes? And I've been thinking a lot about that, folks, because I know my darkness. I really do. Do you know yours? So, yeah. Thank you all for being here today. I appreciate the effort. Um, I appreciate you guys showing up. I wouldn't be here I wouldn't be a teacher if it wasn't for you guys. And I'm extremely grateful and honored to be on this journey with you. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Have a great rest of your day.